Wrist check. Before we do today's review, I am wearing the 116610LV, the green dialed Submariner, the Hulk. And today I want to talk about a different green dialed diver. This is the Oris Aquis Date. I'll put the reference number here on the screen. It's kind of a mouthful, kind of a long designation. But this is one of my favorite watches, right around $2,000. And it's a forum favorite too. The Aquis has always been pretty well respected by the watch enthusiast community. And I have this green dial version next to my own Aquis, which is the limited edition Lake Baikal, limited to 1,999 units, and one that I really enjoy using, and also carries the honor of being one of the few sport watches or divers that my own wife actually thinks is beautiful. So it has some sentimental value to me, and I feel fortunate to have the two in front of the camera to share with you guys today. Now, I'd like to thank Exquisite Timepieces. Just before we jump into the details, they're an authorized dealer in Naples, Florida that lent in the green dialed Aquis. They've been lending in a ton of watches lately, which is incredibly helpful for me presenting content. And I purchased my Oris from them, my Omegas from them. I'm going to be buying some Seikos from them. So if you're shopping for a new watch, if you're shopping for Oris or Seiko or Omega, Glass Huta, any of the brands that they carry, I definitely recommend that you give Nick a call or an email, a text, and have a conversation. He's really helpful. Now that aside, let's get to the details here. I'll start by placing the dimensions, the retail price, the specifications, the movement here on the screen. Now, the Oris Aquis, I mentioned that it's held in high respect by the majority of watch enthusiasts, but that's not universal. You'll hear a lot of detractors say that it does not have the value proposition that it should have to kind of attain this level of respect and love that it currently enjoys amongst us watch enthusiasts. And I think, honestly, there is some validity to that. This isn't a value-rich watch where, you know, you're getting just a crazy amount of watch for your money, because I don't think that's necessarily the case here. This, again, retails at $2,200. It has excellent details. It has a sapphire crystal. It has a ceramic bezel. It has a fully articulating bracelet with screw links, a dive extension system, a milled deployant clasp. I mean, it does hit a lot of the boxes that we like as watch enthusiasts, but the big knock on this is the fact that it carries a base grade Sellita that they call the 733 caliber, but essentially is a Sellita SW200-1 that is fitted with the Oris red rotor. Now it does have an instantaneous date changeover feature, 26 joules, 28,800 vibrations per hour. But let me show you this on the time grapher where you guys can see how it's really running here. I'm getting a consistent 8 seconds per day, great amplitude of 323, 0 beat error. So, I mean, it's running well, but for around $2,000, a lot of us watch enthusiasts, and admittedly, we can get a bit carried away with our expectations of perfection and value, but 8 seconds per day isn't ideal. We're looking at chronometer levels of accuracy. That's the ideal. That's what we would want. So I would say, Oris, if you really want to cater to us crazy watch guys, you need to do some more positional regulation in the factory before it makes its way onto our wrists. Because I found, you know, anywhere from 7 to 10 seconds a day is completely average for every Oris that I've ever owned or borrowed, and I've done a fair few. And if you look in the user manual, you'll see that they actually devote a little paragraph saying, hey, don't get fussed over accuracy. This has a roughly 25-second acceptable daily deviation window. And I think for the general public, that's fine. You turn the watch over, you look at the movement through an exhibition case back, you get excited about seeing the balance oscillating. And I think for just an average person that wants a nice Swiss watch, they will feel the quality and they're not going to get fussed over, you know, a matter of a few seconds per day. I agree, but a lot of Oris's support comes from us crazy watch guys, us watch enthusiasts, and we want it a little bit tighter. We want a regulated movement if we're not going to get an in-house three-hand movement. I know Oris, They've developed some pretty impressive in-house movements with complications, but they've yet to do a basic three-hander yet. So hopefully, I don't know, maybe that's coming down the pipe, or I think more realistically, they should continue with Solita, but just do some positional regulation, maybe a chronometer certification. I think that would be well received, and I know I, for one, would pay a premium for that, and I don't think I'm alone in that sentiment. Now, it might appear like I'm coming across a little bit harsh on Oris, and so let's stick with the negatives and then we'll end with the positives. We're going to go out of order today, but another area for improvement is the dome sapphire crystal carries inner anti-reflective treatment on the underside of the crystal, and I think it's nice, but it's a little bit lacking. It's a little weak, especially if you're out in direct natural light, sunlight. You get quite a bit of light play. I do my wrist rolls under a beautiful mature tree here in Utah. You guys can see it's a little bit distracting, and occasionally my camera has a difficult time focusing in on the details, and that would be improved with maybe a couple layers, maybe a layer on the top. I would love to see the details of the dial to a greater degree of clarity, because the dial is so sharp and clean. So let's do the macro video now. We have faceted applied markers, polished, deep filled with Superluminova BGW9. And I love the balance and symmetry here with the date at the 6 o'clock position and the use of linear angles. Oris has done a great job in taking the linear, taking this form in the handset, in the applied markers, in the angular lugs, to a degree the crown guards, and just blending the look together in a very cohesive manner. I think there's definite strength here to this contemporary design, and it shows. It's apparent. Now, if we look at the sunray, we get every shade from deep olive to some of the more vibrant, verdant greens. And I would say as a whole, the hue of the green tends to be more on the warm scale toward the olive. In fact, I'll place this next to my Hulk outside in natural light, direct sunlight, so you guys can see the difference in the hue. I'm a sucker for a good green dialed watch. Really, I don't know, there's something about this color that just works so well. Even though it's a bit out in left field, it's not the standard conservative color, it looks really sharp. So if I didn't have my Hulk, I think I would have to buy the green Oris Aquis, the most popular selling Aquis that they carry, because it is so well done. In fact, I prefer this over the Zen 104, the nail polish that came out, the limited edition a couple years ago. I prefer this to the Tag Heuer Aqua Racer, which was a very beautiful verdant green. There's something about this Oris one that just speaks to me, and I've enjoyed this more than any other green dial diver outside of my my Hulk, my Submariner. Now let's do some wrist shots here as we wrap up the video. I love this integrated bracelet. This is one of the highlights for me. The links are fully articulating. They're held together via screws. We have a milled clasp here, push button, nice and adjustable with the dive extension system. It's signed, and really the taper, the fit, the feel, the finish with the brushed center links and the high polished flanking links. It looks great, it's unique, and just adds to the experience of the watch. Now, normally I will knock a watch for having integrated lugs if the OEM options are weak or if they leave something to be desired, but when a brand does it so very well, like with an Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, or for instance, this Oris Aquis, I'm not gonna knock it because I'm totally content with the OEM options. I don't feel the need to go with a custom option. But if you have a big strap collection, if that's part of your enjoyment in this hobby, I would say, hey, you know what? Maybe go to the Diver 65 or the Longines Hydroconquest or the Rado Captain Cook. You know, there are a lot of great divers kind of in this price point. The Zen 104, I know that's an aviation piece, but very versatile. I would go that route if you enjoy switching out straps, putting it on NATO, putting it on leather, Perlon, rubber. This one, if you enjoy a good bracelet or a good rubber strap and you want to stay with the OEM, I think you would be very satisfied with the Oris Aquis. So those are my thoughts. Let me see, did I miss anything? Let me show you the bezel action. Bezel action is very very precise, a little bit of back play. I would say this is average for the price point. I like the ceramic. I like the high contrast of the indexing. I think the crown operation is smooth and pleasant and easy to operate, especially if you have larger fingers or maybe diving gloves on. Really, I have no complaints here outside of a nicer movement or a more regulated movement and a nicer application of anti-reflective treatment. So hopefully I've been able to give you a good sense of what the Aquis is all about. I know I tried to skew a little bit negative here in this video, so I'm not accused of just being a total fanboy, even though admittedly I kind of am a total fanboy of the Aquis. I love the Aquis, and I do think this model is more than the sum of its specs. Like, yeah, you can find a Steinhardt that has an ETA movement, has screw links, has a ceramic bezel, has a super luminova, you know, and you can find it for $500, but you put that next to an Oris Aquis, and for me, there is no comparison. And I know I'm gonna ruffle some feathers there. This really has something special to it, and a lot of that is due to the originality, the boldness here, and the hard work of an independent Swiss brand doing business in the German-speaking region of Switzerland for, you know, over 100 years. I really respect that, and I think the quality is here. You feel it on your wrist, you see it in person, I think far more than pictures or video, you know, on your phone, on YouTube, on the Facebook watch groups or Instagram can really ever convey. This thing has that really satisfying factor that we're always searching for as watch enthusiasts, watch fans. And so I can endorse this watch 100% as a very enjoyable daily driver watch that is worthy of addition to your watch collection, even though it has apparent drawbacks or negatives that other watches may not have, but those other watches may not have the sum like this one has the sum of all that it is, more so than specifications or components. Does that make sense? I might be waxing a little poetic and ridiculous here, but let's wrap up the video. I love the Aquis. Hopefully this has been helpful. Let me know if I missed something. Let me know if you have any questions, you want to talk about any particular point in further detail. I make mistakes in every video, and I'm happy to go over that with you, either via private email or in the comment section. If you're shopping for Oris, if you're shopping for Omega, if you're shopping for any of the brands that Exquisite carries, reach out to my guy Nick. His contact information's in the description, and I can recommend him. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.